873-7425.
Hi there. It is Erick Erickson here. The phone number is 877-97-ERIC, 877-973-7425. Glad to have you with me. Folks, you need to get over to Omaha Steaks before Father's Day gets here and take care of your dad. And you got, Memorial Day is coming up too. So you need to take care of your incredible dad. You need to take care of Memorial Day. You need to take care of your family. You need to take care of yourself and get Omaha Steaks. And right now, y'all, I mentioned this in the first hour. They've got not just their Omaha Steak burgers now, which are in and of themselves incredible, but they've turned their New York strips into burgers as well. And if you go get their summer package, you can get the New York strips, which are my favorite cut of steak. You can get Omaha Steak burgers. You can get the chicken breasts. And you'll also get for free their New York strips burgers, which are from the steak, but they're burgers, and they're incredible. They sent me some to try. I ordered a package myself, and then they sent me one. I didn't realize they were sending me a package, but they did. And it was fantastic. And because I got the package and I also ordered one, I got 8 of these burgers. And they're New York strip burgers. But you also get their butcher's cut New York strips. They're aged at least 30 days. It's the Get Out and Grill assortment. You get 22 total items in it. You get the strip burgers, which I don't know how to describe them compared to the normal Omaha Steak burger. The Omaha Steak burgers are so much better than what you get at the grocery store, and these are New York strips turned into burgers. They're just incredible. I was amazed. My daughter loves a good cheeseburger. And these things are fantastic. And they're also going to get the gourmet jumbo franks. So you get burgers, you get franks, you get steak, you get chicken. You can cover the whole family. It's a great package. Go to omahasteaks.com, put Georgia in the search bar. Get their Get Out and Grill assortment in time for Father's Day. If you order it today, you should be able to get it for Memorial Day. Oh my gosh, these New York strip burgers. They're I don't know who decided, hey, let's turn a New York strip into a burger, but they did, and I'm here for it. You don't know that. Well, look, there are lots of people named Matt Moore. I've had a Matt Moore on this program. Matt Moore, the cookbook author. I've got a buddy of mine in South Carolina named Matt Moore. Is apparently like John Smith in my circle of friends because I know multiple people named Matt Moore. There's also a realtor in Minneapolis named Matt Moore. Matt Moore and his wife, Talitha Piper Moore, have decided to stop being realtors. He himself is giving up his realtor license. Matt Moore in 2016 wrote an article that he was, as a youth, same-sex attracted. And he's been very vocal over the years about how his faith and the ministry around him drew him out of that world. And he believes in sharing the gospel message, and that someone can decide that though they may have identified as same-sex attractive, that they can connect with Christ and they can change their life. He's been disciplined by his realtor brokerage for talking about his Christian views in relation to gay issues. Because the National Association of Realtors has released a statement in a disciplinary matter that if you offend on your social media, in your writings or anything, you can be punished. They've updated their code of ethics. A realtor shall be subject to disciplinary action under the code of ethics with respect to all of their activities. And one of them is in social media discussion. This is an example. Realtor C posted several discriminatory and offensive comments, which were deemed to be in violation of Article 10, as they discriminated against individuals on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, national origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity. In determining appropriate discipline, the hearing panel considered Realtor C's comments as hate speech and discrimination. Unfortunately,
30.
They're using this to silence Christians, particularly lay ministers and people in the church who have advocated for biblical sexual ethics or suggested worldly sexual ethics aren't good. The Realtors Association now wants to shut up the Christians who are realtors. Persecution is a real thing in this country. Hello there. It is Erick Erickson. The phone number is 877-97-ERIC. 877-973-7425. Thanks again. I got so many kind emails and text messages, direct messages on Instagram and the like. I put up a little note that I was out Thursday and Friday. Really didn't say a ton of what was going on. It was a little matter of a little clot in my lungs, and I'm well. It was so small as to not really be significant, but it caused all sorts of cascading effects, and it's nice to be able to go up a flight of stairs again and be able to breathe. So I am back with you guys now. The phone number again, 877-97-ERIC, 877-973-7425. I'm kind of flummoxed by this story. Let me read to you two different frames of the story, two different narratives of the story. The Biden administration has decided to engage in discrimination. This is how National Public, or PBS rather, Public Broadcasting reports it. Minority farmers who for decades have faced systemic discrimination will begin to receive debt relief beginning in early June under what Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack called Friday one of the most significant pieces of civil rights legislation in decades. In an op-ed piece published Friday in USA Today, Vilsack also called the debt relief a major civil rights victory, saying it responds to systemic discrimination perpetuated against farmers and ranchers of color by the Agriculture Department. It is a historic move that will symbolize that USDA actually cares, and that the Biden administration is doing whatever they can to mend fences and show the minority farmers that they do care about them during his administration, said Abraham Carpenter, a 59-year-old black farmer whose family grows fruits and vegetables on about 1,500 acres near Grady, Arkansas. Carpenter expects the debt relief will pay off about $200,000 in farm loans, freeing up money that can now be put toward farm operations like buying seed and equipment instead of making loan payments. Now I'm looking. I'm looking. Here we go. I'm feeling really good, said Rod Bradshaw, a 68-year-old black farmer who raises wheat, cattle, and milo on 2,000 acres near Jetmore, Kansas. Bradshaw, who's been farming since buying his first ground in 1976, has made several discrimination complaints with Agriculture Department over the years. He said he has 4 direct loans totaling more than $300,000 with USDA he plans to pay off. He says he has discrimination complaints. Let's see, USDA history of discrimination. What do we have here? Let's see, we have an activist program that documents some level of discrimination. Let's see, the New Deal legislation to address low crop prices by reducing acres of farmland displaces many black farmers. Share of black farm operations fall to 5.8%. U.S. Commission on Civil Rights, an activist organization, finds USDA discriminated against black farmers when providing loans and conservation payments. Apparently, they've been they face discrimination in getting loans. I'm not sure though where the actual active discrimination is. I'm just, there are all sorts of claims made, but is the solution reverse discrimination? Now, here's the Atlanta Journal-Constitution's coverage of this, and I bring them up because it was the newest U.S. Senator, Raphael Warnock, who pushed for this program. The White House's plan to provide $4 billion in debt relief to black farmers took a major step forward Friday when the U.S. Department of Agriculture cleared the way for eligible borrowers to receive the payments as early as June. The debt relief plan was tucked into the $1.9 trillion stimulus package at the urging of Democratic U.S. Senator Raphael Warnock to help disadvantaged farmers who have faced a legacy of financial discrimination. It's advancing despite stiff pushback from opponents, including some Republicans in Congress, and skepticism from some black farmers worried it won't take effect. The program is moving forward despite growing controversy. White farmers have sued the USDA to stop the initiative, claiming reverse discrimination, an opinion echoed by some congressional Republicans, including U.S. Congressman Andrew Clyde of Athens, Georgia. 3 major banking groups recently complained the government initiative will undercut their profits and risk future loans. Warnock, who serves on the Agriculture Committee, touted the program across rural Georgia as a way to combat a tide of historic discrimination, though he acknowledged the challenges of effectively distributing the funds and using the program to address broader social injustice. Federal data shows black farmers last year received a small fraction, 0.1%, of the coronavirus relief under then President Donald Trump's aid package for American farmers. Much of that money went to larger, predominantly white-owned operators. More broadly, Democrats hope the measure could help keep more farmers of color in business. Black farmers lost more than 12 million acres of farmland nationally over the past century. In Georgia, roughly 2,800 black farmers are still working the land. Notice, we don't have in any of the media specific instances of discrimination, just a lot of data that black farmers have fared worse than white farmers, therefore it must be discrimination. I want to talk about this issue, and I want to do it with a presupposition. For the sake of argument, let's presume, for the sake of argument, that there has been discrimination in the ag department. Let's presume that the departments of agriculture of Democratic and Republican administrations, which is actually kind of notable here that they're claiming that Democrat and Republican administrations have discriminated against black farmers. If that's the case, reverse discrimination isn't really the solution, and that's what they've hit upon. Their claim is that black farmers have been discriminated against, therefore we're now going to discriminate against white farmers. Their claim is that we now need to forgive the loans of black farmers solely because of their skin color. Pay no attention to white farmers who have struggled. This breeds a racial response that will be negative. When white farmers who have not fared well, and there are many, are told, well, you may not have fared well, but white farmers overall have fared well, therefore we're going to discriminate against them and you, that will breed resentment. Also, it undermines, in the name of systemic discrimination, it undermines the case of systemic discrimination. If the institution, if the Department of Agriculture is systemically racist against black people, how then can a systemically racist institution administer a program that is designed to push back on that discrimination? It's not going to be able to. If it's systemically racist, it can't be fixed. It's got to be started over. And they're not starting it over. They're allowing the institution and bureaucracy of the U.S. Department of Agriculture to forgive the loans of black farmers, to push back on racism, but the racism pushback will be done by the very racists who caused the racist discrimination to begin with. That is the bureaucracy of the Department of Agriculture. Also, what exactly is the data? I've now read 2 outlets, one the Atlanta Journal-Constitution and one Public Broadcasting's coverage of this, and they just accept as fact the discrimination happened. Now, again, for purpose of this conversation, let's presume there's discrimination. In fact, given the economic structure and status of black farmers in the South, you can presume that in the Wilson administration and the FDR administration and the like, there were plenty of Democratic presidential administrations who were biased against black people. I mean, Woodrow Wilson is one of the biggest racists to ever inhabit the White House. You can assume that his administration was discriminatory towards blacks. But how is discriminating against white farmers the solution? Remember, this is part of the Ibram Kendi supposed anti-racist agenda. There must be reverse racism. There must be reverse discrimination. You must go from discriminating against black people to discriminating against white people to make it fair. I don't know that that's sustainable. I don't know that this is going to be a good solution. And also, by the way, banks will then have a harder time giving even further loans. This is from CNN. 3 of the biggest U.S. banking groups want the U.S. Department of Agriculture to reconsider the terms of billions of dollars in planned debt relief for minority farmers, claiming it will cut into banks' profits and warn they may have to cut those same farmers off from future loans. President Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID relief package passed in March included the money to pay off farm loans for socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers, a group that include black and other minority farmers who have long faced discrimination from lenders and the USDA. The payments will cover up to 120% of outstanding debt for each farmer or rancher. The American Bankers Association, Independent Community Bankers of America, National Rural Lenders Association say the banks will suffer lost income if the farm loans are paid off entirely. The banks said they will lose the interest that they would have earned over the life of the loans. The group wants the USDA to compensate banks for the lost income. The groups, which represent 52,000 bank locations, added, if USDA does not compensate lenders for such disruptions or avoid sudden loan payoffs, the likely result will be less access to credit for those seeking USDA guaranteed loans in the future, including socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers. The USDA responded to the lenders with its own letter calling on the banks to suspend all adverse actions on minority farmers and ranchers until Vilsack and the Farm Service Agency can establish how much each farmer and rancher will receive in payments. Now, again, this is important here. There has been a decline in black farming population since the 1920s. But what the media is doing is looking at that and saying that's proof of discrimination. What's the actual proof of real discrimination? What's the actual proof of the real discrimination? It would be helpful for the media to cover the actual proof of actual discrimination. There have certainly been complaints to the Department of Agriculture, and Democratic administrations have certainly been more willing to concede those points and build up a record of discrimination, but isn't legitimate discrimination. And again, for sake of argument, let's assume it is. Let's assume that there was legitimate discrimination against black farmers. By paying off these loans early, you hurt the banks who depend on the interest. Who cares about the banks, you say? Well, the farmers when they need their next loan are. And guess what? When the banks decide to make a loan in the future, they may decide not to give one to one of these black farmers, not out of discrimination, but because the black farmer paid off the loan so early, it hurt the bank. And so then you're going to get more accusations of discrimination when it won't be discrimination. It'll be the policies that the Biden administration employed. But then there's the larger issue. Only the critical theorists would argue that the way to solve discrimination is to discriminate. The way to solve discrimination is to discriminate against the oppressor class. And how is the poor white farmer an oppressor? All it does is breed further resentment. Listen, I told you guys during the pandemic that setting up PPP, the Payroll Protection Program, and allowing massive corporations to take advantage of it would be shutting out small businesses that really needed it. And that came to bear. That came to be. It was not a good thing that PPP was structured in such a way that every major corporation in America could take advantage of it and could rush in with lawyers and lobbyists and bankers and get to the head of the line over small businesses that desperately needed the program and did not have the savings that a Fortune 500 company would. But it is also equally obvious to me that if you're structuring a program that gives a middle finger to the poor white farmer, because you claim that the poor white farmer somehow was advantaged against the poor black farmer, when the poor white farmer doesn't see that advantage, he's struggling to make ends meet as well. all you're doing is not only perpetuating racism, but you're also breeding a resentment from that white farmer who doesn't feel like he ever got an advantage. And you're going to have some lecturing bureaucrat and member of the media explain to him his historic advantages that he himself does not feel over the pain of his sore back. This isn't wise policy by the Biden administration or the Democrats. It's going to foster more resentment and racism in the country. And you've got the media so on their side on this stuff, they can't even tell the story accurately. They don't even highlight examples of discrimination. They just say, well, it's systemic discrimination. Right. And so they don't then ask the question, how can the agency that systemically discriminated systemically solve the problem through reverse discrimination? They can't do it because it doesn't make sense.
News and in-depth analysis from Erick Erickson.